Taoiseach, we spoke on this recently on the minimum wage increase, and at the time you had said comments to me that on one hand that I was welcoming the wage increase, which I do, but I also wanted protection for the businesses that would be impacted with the wage increase and what the government could do to counteract it. And now it has come to the forefront when, Taoiseach, I believe you have received letters of concerns from IBEC outlining their concerns about the additional cost your government has set out. The letter highlights specific worries about the pace and scale government labour costs, including an increase in minimum wage to $12.70 and changes to employers' PSI, statutory sick pay, pension, auto-enrolment, work permit salary thresholds and protective leave entitlements. IBEC estimates that the government's labour market policy will add $4 billion annually to the wage bill of Irish employers, leading to labour cost increase of 25 to 30% in the most impacted firms. According to an article in RTE, a third of new companies close within the first 4 years of their existence. A post-Christmas period has seen a wave of restaurant closures in Ireland, and the Restaurant Association of Ireland, RAI, claiming that 280 members have closed in the last 6 months. I urge the government to intervene in this. Now, Minister, I'm an employer myself, and I agreed with the minimum wage increase. And all the employers that I spoke to also agreed with the wage increase. But what it has actually created in certain cases is inflation. So you go to the hotel industry and you look at the minimum wage, which went to $12.70. But then the people that were on €13 wanted to go to $14.30, and it was a knock-on effect through all the wage increases on all the hospitality sectors. So in one business I spoke to, which has 7 employees and 2 part-time, it's 40,000 of an increase to their business. Now, the only way they can counteract that and pay the minimum wage increase, which they said the employees deserve, is to, without increasing their product, is by going into their maintenance bill. Now, they said by going into the maintenance, if anything breaks down, that means that they're closed anyway. And if they up the prices, that means that the same wage increase that we are giving is actually being taken back in by using a wage, which means that they won't be sustainable anymore. One hotel I spoke to said that this will actually cost them $400,000 extra this year. And if you look at this on a wedding or a major event, it's €4 per sitting is what the increase will be, which means it goes back again to the same people that after getting the wage increase, it's actually going back in again to the government's purse when it comes around in a circle.
Thanks very much, Deputy, for raising this important issue, and I know a lot of deputies have done so in government parties and opposition parties alike. As a government, we're a government that supports enterprise and a government that wants to make work pay. And we believe it's possible to reward enterprise and also reward work. But there are interplays and there are balances that have to be struck, and we have to strike them right. I acknowledge that the cost of business is very high and is rising. Some of that is down to pay, a lot of it's down to energy, and some of it is down to the cost of supplies and materials. Some of this is government influenced, much of it the government has no influence over. And we are helping business. Over €250 million will be injected into small businesses in the form of grants by the end of March, and that's designed to help businesses with cash flow, particularly at this very difficult time. And we are now seeing energy prices fall, which is very encouraging, and I hope we'll see interest rates fall throughout the course of this year as well. In relation to the increase in the minimum wage, that was recommended by the Low Pay Commission, and our plan is to bring the minimum wage up to the level of a living wage, which is about 60% of median earnings, and we want to do that as soon as we possibly can. But we acknowledge that we have to monitor how this works out on the ground, because we've seen very big increases in the minimum wage in recent years. It's roughly double, or it's not double, but it's much higher than it was 10, 11 years ago. And despite a very big increase in the minimum wage, we haven't seen unemployment rise. In fact, the reverse has happened. there are more people at work than ever before. And while there are businesses open and closing all the time, the number of closures at the moment is below the long-term average of 50 per 10,000. But this is something we'll have to monitor very closely, because there's no point in putting up somebody's wages if they then lose their job or have their hours cut. So this is something we'll have to monitor over the next couple of months and take account of when the Low Pay Commission makes its recommendation for next year, because there are other employment-related costs that are going to rise, like pension contributions, for example, under auto-enrolment, and the 0.1% increase in PRSI. So I take what businesses are saying very seriously. We acknowledge the cost of business is high. We are helping, particularly with the €250 million that will be injected into small businesses in the next couple of months. But the key thing we need to monitor is there a fall-off in employment as a consequence of this increase? And do we see businesses closing at a faster rate than they would on the long-term average? We're not seeing that yet, but we do need to look out for it.
Most of the businesses that are closing are SMEs, small, local, medium enterprise. They're not international businesses, they're small, local enterprise businesses. What you could have done in the interim, and it would have had an immediate effect, is reduce the VAT back to 9%. Across the board, it was brought in the interim before, it worked. It could be working now until we find a solution. I'm a father, I'm a grandfather. I listened to a man recently, and I've listened to a lot of parents recently, when 4 of their children, their 4th child is now leaving the country to set up their life in another country, and they're following their brothers and sisters across the water. And the young man said to his father, he said, "Dad, I'm sorry, I'm going." He said, "I'll never afford a house in this country. I'll live and I'll work, but I'll never have anything here. I'm now going to follow my brothers and sisters to create a life." Now, we've all seen people leave this country when in their youth and come home to set up family and live here. He said that will be no longer the case. We are leaving, we're not coming home, because we can no longer see home as being sustainable for us to raise our families for the future. That we have to do it in another country and we can't do it in home. So I'm asking you, Taoiseach, intervene now, reduce the VAT rate to 9% now, protect our small businesses. The multinationals can protect themselves, but our Irish local businesses need your help and need it now.
Taoiseach, to conclude.
The businesses, particularly small businesses, have received unprecedented support from government over the past 3 or 4 years. During COVID, we helped pay the wages and we helped pay the overheads. During the energy crisis, we helped with the energy bills through the TBES. We reduced VAT to 9% on a temporary basis. We brought in tax warehousing, and we also have now a new grant that businesses will receive in the next couple of months. The sad reality is that there are a number of businesses in the state that have only got by in the past couple of years because of that state support, and some of those aren't viable. And that is a sad truth, but one that no government can simply subsidise forever. In relation to the story you tell about somebody emigrating to set up their lives abroad, of course that happens all the time for all sorts of different reasons. But let's not forget, in each of the last 7 years, the number of Irish citizens leaving has been less than the number of Irish citizens returning, or roughly the same. So this narrative that huge numbers of Irish people are abandoning the country for better lives abroad, the truth is different. There's a lot of people going, well, Deputy, they are, because in the past, Deputy, you're entitled to your opinions, you're not entitled to your own facts. The facts are, in the past 3 years, 80,000 Irish citizens left and went abroad for all sorts of different reasons. 90,000 came back. It's a fact, Deputy.